Penguin Random House Audio presents Diet for a Small Planet, revised and updated, by Frances Moore Lappé. Read for you by Kimberly Farr. Note to listener: this program includes a downloadable PDF that contains charts, graphs, and recipes from the book. For Betty Ballantyne, whose foresight, thank God, was better than mine. Welcome to the 50th anniversary of Diet for a Small Planet. Here, in a new opening chapter, Our Choice, Our Power, I share what most keeps me alive in the face of humanity's unprecedented threats. Book 1 offers a glimpse of history, largely untouched from the original. Book 2, thoroughly revised to today's palate, invites you into the kitchen to experience today's delicious revolution aligning with life. May you delight in learning and eating. Frances. Our Choice, Our Power. Introduction to the 50th Anniversary Edition. To see what is in front of one's nose needs a constant struggle. George Orwell, 1946. I began this journey with the realization that growing and eating plant-centered diets was a great choice. Today, it is a no-contest necessity. Either we now make a big turn, or life on Earth as we know it is gone forever. Whoa. This blunt declaration rocks me. I'll admit it's taken me decades to get here, and I am delighted now for this opportunity to share my learning journey with you, dear listener. You'll forgive me, though, if my first thoughts are of my own delight as, over the years, strangers have told me, "Your book changed my life." One story I'll surely never forget is from friend and longtime head of the Berklee College of Music, Roger Brown. I was teaching in a small village in Kenya in 1979 when I came across a tattered version of your book, he told me. I read it on a mountain by moonlight, and it changed the course of my life. I'm still smiling. When anyone tells me of the book's effect on them, I always want to blurt out, "Yeah, me too." Diet for a Small Planet started as a one-page handout when I was 26, and it has profoundly shaped my life's quest. Now, on its 50th anniversary, I strive to capture key lessons that help me to this day, and that I hope will help you in these challenging times. Challenging doesn't quite do it. Over the past few years, we have been battling the fiercest storm of my lifetime. Years of attacks on the integrity of our democracy, leading to the first ever citizens' assault on the Capitol, a pandemic deemed the worst in a century, and murders by police that have fueled the Black Lives Matter movement, furthering, we can hope, our nation's long-delayed reckoning with systemic racism. At the same time, our climate crisis nears a tipping point that will drastically hasten destruction. And what first shocked me into action, hunger amid plenty, has gotten worse in recent years, even though the world's food supply offers 1/5 more calories for each of us than it did 50 years ago. Here at home, hunger is also rising. But in a mighty storm, sometimes the biggest tree comes crashing down, and for the first time we can see its roots. Now is such a storm. So how do we grasp the roots and use what we discover to pull ourselves back from catastrophe and guide us toward life itself? The great news is that millions here in the United States and many more around the world are grasping the root causes of our intertwined crises and remaking their lives in ways aligned with what humans and nature need to thrive. 50 years ago, my youthful aha was that food has special power, as every day our very personal food choices connect us to each other and to all of nature. Shock in discovering the needlessness of hunger triggered in me new ways of seeing what's profoundly amiss in our world and our own power to fix it. But back then, I had no idea how urgent my message would soon become. Driven by tightening corporate power over our democracy, harms from meat-centered agriculture and diets have continued to mount, damaging human health, the natural world, and the climate. And now, the ultimate harm. We have destroyed so many species, largely in feeding ourselves, that we face the sixth great extinction of life on Earth. To avoid planetary disaster, warns natural historian David Attenborough, we must allow the reflourishing of life by greatly reducing the land area we farm. And the quickest and most effective way is to change our diet. Moving beyond the vast inefficiency of meat-centered eating and choosing plant-centered diets, he projects, would cut in half the land used and still produce plenty of food for all. Now, with vastly more at stake than when my own eyes first opened, it's critical to grasp how we got here. So let's go for those roots. Believing is seeing. Over the 50 years since I sat in the UC Berkeley Library pondering the root cause of hunger, I have tried to keep digging to the question beneath the question, to help me grasp why we humans have messed up so badly. And here's the deepest question my digging has turned up so far. Why are we together creating a world that as individuals none of us would choose? After all, I've never met anyone who gets up in the morning vowing to make another child starve or to turn up the planet's temperature. In the 20th anniversary edition of this book, I introduced the power of ideas to explain what seems inexplicable. I invite you to listen to my introduction to that edition, directly following this one. Today, I express the root challenge this way. While seeing is believing is a common expression, for our species the reverse is more often true. Believing is seeing. Or, as Albert Einstein put it more directly, it is theory which decides what we can observe. In other words, our internalized filters can blind us to solutions right in front of our noses, requiring precisely the constant struggle George Orwell calls us to in the opening quote. One filter above all blocks us from solutions, a belief that life is made up of parts, when in truth, all life is connected. I can still see in my mind's eye the twinkly grin of the late German physicist Hans-Peter Dürr, who a decade ago laid it out to me so simply. Frankie, in life there are no parts, only participants. Got it, Hans-Peter. And I've never forgotten. It is the core truth of our being. While in the last half-century much has changed, the danger in the false lens of separateness shows up in at least 3 big cases of believing is seeing that still blind us. Each has been used by the most powerful, wittingly or not, to keep us on a destructive path, averting our eyes from positive system solutions to our food and farming crises. Who we are. Most critical in determining what we can see is our belief about our very nature, as I explain in the following chapter. Much in our culture today teaches us that we can count on humans only to be selfish and competitive. It encourages some of our worst.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?